Welcome to San Luis Obispo's Chinatown. For this video tour, we wanted to focus on the past and future changes of the Chinese culture here in San Luis Obispo, as well as their oral history. One thing I want to make note of is one man, that we spoke with isn't even of the Chinese ethnicity. He works at SLO, and he's trying to keep the Chinese culture alive by passing down history throughout oral storytelling. I want to begin with the parking lot. From Moro to Choro here in San Luis, it used to be all wood front buildings. They were all part of Chinatown, and back in the 1950s, San Luis Obispo decided that they wanted to put in a parking lot instead of the businesses. So they had to be taken down, and 100 parking spots were put in their place. And now we're going to head to the businesses. So as we can see here, this building is actually empty now. There's nothing left inside. But this next building does have a lot of history. It's the SLO restaurant. Today it is empty. The family actually retired and just got out of the business, but they are hoping to hold on to the name. The SLO restaurant, was owned by 4 generations of the Jin family, so it's been around for a very long time. And before the parking lot, it was actually down a few spaces. So next we'll go to the palm feeder. It's been open since about 1988, and it's still trying to keep a lot of its Chinese look alive. All the writing is in Chinese, it's very lit up. They actually show a lot of different independent films, and some are of the Chinese from China. And next we're going to go to SLO restaurant. Now, here we have the SLO restaurant. We're going to stop here and focus on it for a little while because we actually spoke with a member of the Jin family. The elderly Jins, they don't speak much English, so we spoke with his son, Dick Jin. It's been owned by the family since the late 1950s when they first came here. They got it from the Alawi family. It was in 1957 that the Jin family moved here to San Luis Obispo, where they migrated from China, first stopping in Santa Barbara.
My grandfather came over first to Santa Barbara area in the 1940s. And he kind of settled in Santa Barbara for some unknown reason to kind of work. He ended up working as a cook. And then as he started traveling and migrating, he ended up coming more north, but he had to go home and get his 2 sons and to kind of start moving his way up this way. And he ended up settling up in here in 60, so it was in the 50s, so he was born there, so it was about 1957.
Dick Jin's grandfather brought the family from China to San Luis Obispo because he thought they would have a much better life here in America. Every member of the family worked here at the restaurant, and for a time being, they even lived inside of the building.
Grew up kind of in there, so yeah, they used to live upstairs. Was 2 bedrooms and a kitchen and a bathroom, and one section was a dining area, and then the section towards the street had 2 bedrooms and from birth, so I was born in 1960, from birth to about the age 2 or 3, right around my third birthday, well, right after age 2, we ended up moving to another house. But for the first couple years of life, I lived there.
He was the only one of his siblings who was actually born here in America, but he thinks that was a much better transition almost because all of his family actually spoke English, so he was able to learn it a lot faster. But his parents did still speak Chinese, so he also knew the Chinese language. And even though he went to school like everyone else, he does remember always getting the stereotypes we all think of when you think Asian or Chinese, you know, that they are intelligent, that they are good at math, and he feels it made him stronger.
I think growing up, being a Chinese kid amongst, you know, not even a white community, but, you know, a non-Caucasian area, I think I just got thicker skin, and it, you know, I've heard them all.
When asked what he felt was a significant cultural difference between the Chinese culture and American culture, he said it was definitely something about family and closeness. Everyone was always welcome to come around, and everyone in the Chinese, of the Chinese ethnicity here, it was a very tight-knit group.
There were different days that were closed, so it was such a tight-knit Chinese community that this is what my dad tells me, is that we were closed on Wednesdays. Shanghai Lo was closed on, Chong's was closed on Tuesdays, and Shanghai Lo was closed on Mondays. So it was always 2 of us open. We never kind of competed against each other. It was always a shared thing.
And now we're going to go to the next building. Now, across the street is what now is a real estate office, but back in 1954, Richard Chong opened it up as a candy store. It was called Chong's Homemade Candies. He owned the business, and it's actually 1 block away, back at the parking lot we were at, was where he was actually born. So they used to consider that to be the center of Chinatown. And now we have the Alois story, the Alois family store. This has been in SLO for a very long time. It's been open since 1884, and it's considered to be the site of the Alois store. They named this the main place for Chinatown. And one really interesting story we found out about this building is that the blue steel shutters were put on because the mother, she was breastfeeding, and someone shot through the windows and killed her. So they put steel shutters on the window. And now we're going to go next to the Chinatown Bell. So right next to the Alois family store is the Chinatown Bell. It says, in tribute to Alois, 1840 to 1936. They considered him to be a Chinese pioneer who helped build San Luis Obispo and create Chinatown. So this is for San Luis Obispo's California Chinatown, and it's supposed to be a memorial. And next we have the parking lot. As you can see, there's Chinese lettering on there, and it actually means love and double joy. The parking lot used to be wood front businesses, and it ended up being bought out by an architect from Santa Barbara. And the story actually goes that in the deal with San Luis Obispo City, when the architect bought the place, put up the parking lot, he was actually given many of the Chinatown artifacts. So now San Luis Obispo has very little Chinese artifacts to this day. And if you go right next to the picture, there's a plaque that says the Chinese settlement was the largest immigrant group at the time. So Chinatown was definitely considered to be one of the finest streets in San Luis Obispo, and the Chinese culture made a huge impact on San Luis Obispo's history. And that's the end of our video tour.